morning, everyone. Hopefully you're all enjoying this beautiful sunny morning. Little frosty, little frostier than it's been, but hopefully you're grabbing a cup of coffee and we're going to get started. Good morning, Taylor. There we
Sorry.
go. No problem. Good morning. How are
I'm
you?
good. How are you?
Good.
Well, there's a decent amount or a few on. Don't want to, we got one more minute before we're going to start. Just to let everybody know, I'm going to put our YouTube channel in the chat. And if you go there, you can subscribe. This recording, as well as all the other ones that we've done on this class and many of our other classes, will be up there on our YouTube channel. So you can always go back to rewatch what we talked about, or if you kind of follow along, but you want to, double check and make sure after the fact, then you can go in, you can fast forward to where we talked about each part, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, if you have to step away and grab a call, hopefully to bottom line an offer or unfortunately like today to renegotiate because you're getting a low appraisal. But that's a different issue. So if that happens again, you'll be able to watch this thing in its entirety. So yeah, so there's a question box that's going to be in your GoToWebinar panel over on the right-hand side. If you have a question, don't wait to save all your questions. As an agent myself, I do that, and then I'm like, oh, what was that question I was going to ask again? So jump right in. We're going to kind of divide it up between us. I'm going to take the first half and show you some tips and tricks, if you will, and getting prepared for your listing, how to blend some of those products in together so that they save you time. And then Taylor's going to take you into the fun stuff. She's going to take you into photos. She's going to take you into writing better captions and descriptions. If you haven't taken Taylor's photos class, it's amazing. So she's going to give you some great tips like that. And she's also going to show you how to better promote your listings, which of course is, as we come into the chillier months, it's always important to get those listings out and promoted. With that, it's about 2 minutes after. You think we're ready to start?
Yep, I'm good.
All right. So I am going to start off with really, when you're getting ready to take a new listing, how do you prepare? What's the best way? Where do you start? Now, of course, let's say you just got the call, and I'm going to go ahead and use Marietta, who just got the call. She's going to go on a listing appointment. Where really do you start? Where's the starting point? Because that's really kind of what this class was developed on. It's A to Z. Where do you start? Where do you start researching the property? We were just having some calls this morning on that. And, then where do you go from there? How do you link everything together so you're not constantly re-entering the same information again and again? So that's kind of where we're going to start today. We're going to start in Paragon. So I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera. So we're going to cover a lot. And as Taylor mentioned, if you miss anything, if you have to step away, this is all going to be recorded, this exact class. So you'll be able to go to this recording. She put our YouTube channel right in the chat. So you might want to copy that, paste it, or if you want to get to it the easy way, because I'm all about the easy buttons, if you know me, you can always go under resources. And there you will find recorded webinars that will take you directly into our YouTube channel. So if you miss anything, all you got to do is click again, go into Paragon, go under resources, click recorded webinars. And we've even got these great little helpful playlists that'll guide you to the exact class you may be looking for. So this one will be under listing entry or your Paragon MLS system. And then it'll actually have today's date. So you can actually look for that. All right, so where do you get started? So we're going to say again, Marietta just got this call to go list a house. Where is she starting? So of course, you're making rapport. You're probably asking a few of these questions on the phone. I usually like to verify how many bedrooms, how many baths, getting all of the detail. From there, the first thing I want to do is I want to see, has this property recently been listed? So I'm going to use my good old-fashioned address because it gives us lots of good examples here. And I can see, in fact, that this listing has closed. So we're going to say that Marietta just got a call. She's going to go list 41539 Wessel Drive. The first thing I want to do is I want to check in Paragon and see, did it close recently? And even if I'm going to list a home that maybe I helped them purchase, I just got a call of someone who's getting ready to list their home with me. I helped them buy it 2 years ago. So I want to pull up all the information. I have to say I go on very few listing appointments that I lose. And the reason is I really go in with all of my homework. I make sure that I have the previous record of sale that I've got out of the MLS. I make sure that I have the market stats. I make sure that I have exactly what's going on in their area. I make sure I'm bringing all of this into a state-of-the-art CMA. So when I'm sitting with them, I am able to answer questions even on the fly. And I'm going to show you some brand new stuff today that we haven't even looked at before that's going to allow you to do just that. So I can see right here that this, in fact, has closed 3 times. I usually, quite honestly, just pull the last closing record. But if you wanted to review them all, you could, of course, just click on the particular one that closed last, but you could also click on this listings 3. That's basically going to open up all 3 listing records. And now I can go in and I can find the previous one. So I'm going to say I'm going to grab the last one here. And I'm going to now basically save that onto my computer so I can pull it into my CMA. So when they say, well, do you know when we bought it? I can say, oh, absolutely. You bought it in 2020 and you paid X, and I can go over those details. I can show them what they're financing, if there was concessions, all of that's going to be right here. So it's really where I do want to start doing my homework. The next thing I want to do is I want to check 2 sources. And there's some confusion on this, so I want to just kind of break it down. We were talking about this morning, Taylor and I, before today's webinar. What are the difference in tax records? Now, we have some cool things that we do for my Real Source members that no other MLSs do, so I'm going to talk about those. But basically, we offer 2 sources that you can go right from the listing ticket into getting the information you need on this property. So let's take a look at the first one. The first one can be found under this red little icon here. It's the Realist Property Detail. And basically, this is taking you, instead of having to go to another program, typing in the address, typing in the municipality, waiting for that to load, putting in a credit card, it just takes you right into the exact record you need. It's going to show you who owns the property. It's going to show you the tax information, the parcel ID, which of course you need to enter your listing. It's going to show you the legal description, the subdivision. It's going to show you the assessments that maybe are on the property. It's also going to show you what is the square footage, how many bedrooms, how many baths, how many full, how many half. Does it have a garage? Is it built on a basement? This is all stuff that, of course, you're going to need to know to find accurate comps for your listing. The next thing is, as we scroll down, it's also, and Taylor and I were talking about this morning, it's also going to show you maybe if a property went into sheriff's sale, if it's been foreclosed on. It's also going to show you, did they refi? We are seeing some people who are taking lines of credit out right now due to inflation. If they just overpaid, think about this for a minute, because I know everybody's kind of like, well, Colleen, everything's selling at record high prices. Why do we actually need to care about this right now? And you're right, things are still selling higher. Our sales prices are still up because the inventory's down so much. However, it does matter, because if you just helped someone over, let's say they purchased in the last year or two, and of course, a lot of people were overpaying, right? Because what the market was, there wasn't enough inventory. We were seeing offers sometimes 20, 30, 40, 50 grand over asking. So they've overpaid for this house now. As we start seeing a shifting market that may come into play here, if they now are taking a line of credit on the home, you're going to need to know that. And you're going to need to be able to, when you're netting them out, which we're going to talk about today, when you're trying to give them accurate numbers of what they're going to have in their pocket, their closing check at the table, these are all variables that you're going to need to know. And so being able to just go right into the Realist record, again, right from that red icon that I showed you, that's going to be really helpful, because I like to actually save this as a PDF, and I like to include this in my CMA. So, by the way, if you have any questions as we're going through this, just pop them in the questions box. Taylor's actually manning that. And then when Taylor does her portion, I'm going to be manning it. So we're going to kind of bounce it back and forth. So feel free to ask questions. But one thing I encourage you to do is save this information as a PDF. I usually just generally go up to this print button. I print it as a PDF, save it to my desktop, and I pull it into my CMA. The reason is, if they ask me, well, Colleen, where did you get that square footage? I think we have more. I think we have less square footage. I want to be able to show them exactly where these records came from. So that is the realist record. And this is, of course, where you're going to be able to ascertain a lot of information, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, does it have a garage, basement, all of those details that are going to be so helpful when you're actually pulling your comps. Secondly, what is the difference between realist, again, that red icon, and this, I apologize, I say this every time, it kind of looks like a garbage can. I assure you it's not supposed to be a garbage can. It's supposed to be a government pillar. But Brian, our chief technical officer, when he tried to smush it onto the button, I think it looks a little more like a trash can, but it's not. It actually takes you directly into BS&A. Now, a lot of people will ask me, well, Colleen, if we have realist, why do we need BS&A? Aren't they the same thing? Actually, no, they're not. BS&A is the actual municipality or city record. So basically, when the city assessor clicks paid on taxes, that shows up in BS&A. Now, what we've done is we've actually taken it a step further versus other MLSs. Other MLSs use what we call a BS&A feed, and I want to explain the difference here. So a BS&A feed is great, but let's say Marietta is going down to, or let's say her clients found out that they had some unpaid property taxes. And so, Marietta does a great job. She says, hey, you got $7,000 worth of unpaid property taxes. We got to get that cleared up because we're going to close in 2 days. When they go down and pay that and the city assessor hits paid, that live feed that we pull is going to allow Marietta still to close that afternoon because it's going to show right away what the assessor did. Other MLSs in the state, they use a feed, but feeds can take 72 hours to go back and forth. So that can be a crucial factor. So I like to actually use both. And I'm going to tell you some good examples of why that saved me multiple times. I had a house recently in Sterling Heights that I listed, and clearly in the MLS, it was a 2-story house because they actually listed for 90 days with someone, didn't sell. I could see in the MLS it was a 2-story house. But when I went to the municipality record, it clearly said it was only 1 story. Okay, so right away, you're going to see differences, and especially in realist. So you'll see all the great assessor information in BS&A, but realist will actually call out differences. Let me kind of show you what I mean here too. Realist will actually call out differences between the tax information and the MLS information because realist is a combined source. So realist is great, but it's combining it from 2 different sources, which is why if you ever got into a legal dispute, the judge actually will be looking at BS&A because that is the trusted record. That's what the municipality knows. But when I'm looking in realist, and you'll see it actually tells you the MLS says it's this, or the tax says it's this. Many times you'll see MLS says one thing and the tax says another. What that really is an indicator to you as the agent is I need to ask that question. So kind of to circle back on the story about the 2-story and 1-story home. So I pull up, I can clearly see as I'm in the driveway that it is a 2-story home. I asked the question to the homeowner, and the homeowner told me, I kid you not, this is a true story, you can't make these things up in real estate. The homeowner said, hey, I own a dormer company, and I put that second level on myself. Don't you like it? And I said, well, it's beautiful. Did you pull a permit in the city? Oh, no, I didn't need to know I do that. Okay, well, those are those questions that you definitely are going to want to ask because obviously you can see now we're going to handle an objection, right? And so having the realist record as part of your CMA, having the live BS&A record as part of your CMA, that is really important. So let's take a look at BS&A. So again, both of these are found directly right on the listing ticket. By the way, if it's never been listed before, let's say it's a for sale by owner who just built their home, you can also go to tax and you can go to Real List from here. You can go to BSNA, but it's extra work. Let me tell you another cool thing about finding it on the listing ticket. What we did is we wanted to find a way as My Real Source to give back to our members. We wanted to save you some money because let's face it, that all these property records in municipalities can be kind of expensive. And let me tell you another thing. BSNA, which used to charge $2, then it went to $3, is now going to $6 for their property record. So let me tell you a little cheat for you. And I know it's only $6 here, $6 there, but if you list 10 properties a year, and let's say you get 1 or 2 listings and maybe you don't even get those, it could be $100 a year you're spending or in finding these property records. So what My Real Source decided to do for our members, if you are looking in Macomb County, if you are looking in any of the 5 Grosse Pointes, if you are looking in St. Clair County now or Genesee County, we're actually paying that fee on your behalf. So before, if you went into BSNA up here, and you went to BSNA online, it would ask you for a credit card. If you were, looking up property records, what we do is if you go through this trash can looking icon, if you will, if you go directly through that icon, it's now going to take you into the BSNA record for that property, and we get the bill on your behalf. I know it's only $6, but all those $6 add up, and you don't have to wait. You don't have to log in, type in the municipality, wait for that to load, log in, type in the address. You can see it took me right here, right? A lot of municipalities are also including things like unpaid water bills, because as you know, water stays with the property. It's not attached to the person, it's attached to the property. And so those are things that we need to address in those net outs. I just had a home in Warren had a $700 outstanding water bill. Water is expensive these days, and so those are things that we want to take into account, especially when we're listing a $70,000 home. All right, so on the BSNA record, I'm going to show you a couple cheats here too. Of course, this is where you're going to find all of your assess information. Tax actually has its own tab here, so I can change over to the tax records. I can see if things have been paid or if things are outstanding. For assessments, there's the building department. Again, many of these now include water as well. But as I go down, this is another place that I'm looking for how many bathrooms, what's my frontage, what's the lot size, who owns it, has it gone to sheriff's sale, what is the size, is it does it have a basement, is it a finished basement, does it have a garage, how many cars is it, all of this information is here. So again, this is something I save. I usually just print this as a PDF, save it to my desktop because I'm going to pull all of this in. I'm going to hit that print button, save it as a PDF, save it to my desktop so that I can pull this open very quickly and pull it into my CMA. All right, so hopefully that's making sense. One of the other things I like to do is, of course, you're never going to take another agent's photos from the MLS, right? Now, this is a public record photo. Now, I'm not going to use this as my photos. I want to take Taylor's great photography class. I want to go take my own photos, but I do like to have a front cover photo. And if you are listing, let's say that you're listing a house 3 hours away, and you're not going to drive all the way there to take a picture and then come back and do your CMA and drive up all the way back. You can also get a good idea of what that home looks like. I want to save this because I may want to use this when I'm referring to their home. When they say, Colleen, let me walk you through. I want to have a nice front cover on my, I'm going to save this to my downloads just so we can pull it in fast here. And I'm going to say that we're going to do front photo. And I'm going to save this so that I can have a really great picture when I'm referring to their house. Now you're going to see I hate this ugly date that's on here. And when we get into our CMA, I'm going to show you how to just crop that. So you're just getting the house itself. So I've started doing my homework. Now, where do we go from here? So we know how many full bathrooms. We know what the square footage is. We know half baths. Now, of course, we're trying to find comps that I can easily show in a really wowing report that seller exactly what their home is going to close for, or what we think it's going to close for. So where do we go from here? I've saved my realist record. I've saved my BSNA record. I have saved my listing ticket. So I've started building my history that I'm going to show them. There's one more thing that I would encourage you to save, and that is the actual stats of what's going on. And what I mean by that is in this market that we're seeing right now, it's changing day by day. I mean, one minute we're down 10% in inventory, the next minute we're down 40% in inventory. Right now, I was just reading a great article yesterday about how it's possible, I don't know, but how the appraisals are starting to come in low across the country, and what's causing that. So what I want to do is I basically want to now educate my seller on exactly what's going on in their marketplace, what's going on last year, because there's going to come a time, and it hasn't happened yet, but there's going to come a time you're sitting with the seller, they've overpaid on the home, and you're going to have to explain why for years they've been told it's a seller's market, right? And there's not enough inventory. At some point, that's going to start changing a little bit. And we're going to have to educate these sellers on what's happening in their marketplace and why. So if you are, I know we have a couple of new people on this call. If you're new, if you're experienced, it doesn't matter. You can still look like the expert in the area. So where do you start that? And the answer is you're going to go right up to resources here. And we have under social media and lead gen, we have market stats. Okay, so I'm going to go into market stats. And what I'm really trying to accomplish here is I basically want to show the homeowner very quickly in an easy to read format what is going on in the market today, right now, where they're sitting. So you can go right up to fast stats. And all you're really going to do is pick, it's so easy, even I could do it. That's why I love this. So all you're going to do is you're going to pick the county, and you're just going to click the city. That's it. Done. You've now just created a live graph, or a graph that you're going to include. By the way, market stats, you can actually do live graphs, and you can post them out onto social media. It allows you to do some cool lead gen things. If you haven't taken our lead gen class, definitely do that. Wow. Here's some numbers. I quite honestly, I hate to show you, but I'm going to show you anyway. So what we're looking at right here is how we're going to explain this to the seller. So we're going to tell the seller, well, right now, inventory of homes, then, again, we were seeing 10 and 20% just a couple of months ago, which I was kind of excited about. But if you look at inventory of homes for sale right now in Sterling Heights, last year, there were 238 homes on the market. This year, there are 103. And by the way, there wasn't that much to sell last year. So think about what this actually means. We're down almost 57% in our inventory. So as you can see, we have less than half that we did last year, and there wasn't that much to sell last year. So now what is that saying? Well, yes, it's only decreased our days on market until sale by one, or down by one. But now let's take a look what it's doing to our average sales price. Again, we're seeing that inflated average sales price. Our average sales price in Sterling Heights was 309,000. Now it's 313, right? Supply and demand. Our median sales price, 295, just went up to 307. So again, we're seeing that not enough of the supply causing those prices to go up. This is very easy for them to understand. It also breaks down condos. Same way. Look at the condo situation. It's just as bad. Oof. Okay, look at this one. So we got 60% down in inventory of condos right now, 55 on the market last year in Sterling Heights, 22 today. Seeing a lot of sellers that just aren't comfortable in what's going on in the economy to list their home. Now what we're seeing also is, look at the sales price difference though, 203 to 240 in that condo market. This is a nice, easy way, whether you're brand new to the business or super experienced, to be able to explain to a seller exactly what's going on in their marketplace. Okay, this is always 1 month behind, a rolling month. It comes out every month on the 15th. Just remember, it's always 1 month behind so they can gather all of those stats. All right, so I also want to save this. I save it as a PDF. I want to pull this in because I want this to be telling my story when I'm giving my CMA of why we may want to price them on the higher end and not the lower end of the price range, right? So you see, it's really easy. Again, how I got here, just as a quick recap, went to resources, market stats. At the top of market stats, there's something called fast stats. Click on the county, click on the city, and bam, it's really that easy. Okay. So now we have all of our information. We've gathered up all those really good extra pieces. Where do we find those comparables now? Where do we start? So really where we want to start is we want to compare apples to apples. So I'm going to find the type of home, which is obviously a single family home. So I'm going to go into my search, going to click on residential, and I'm just going to enter that crucial information that they need to know, that it is a single family home that I'm looking for comps for. I'm not looking for any leases. By the way, my fields may be in a different order, or I may have fields that you don't have. That is the cool thing about Paragon, by the way. Recently, I was helping a couple people in the Grosse Pointe area. They were listing some homes in Detroit, and they said, gosh, Detroit is so big. I just want to be able to search by the zip code. This is an easy thing you can add. You can go into customize your fields, and you can add different fields as well. So don't be afraid. If you see something here and that you don't have, you can add it in as well. You just want to customize it. Okay, so I'm going to say I'm kind of an old Floyd Wickman fan. Probably not a lot of people know who Floyd Wickman is, but I'm a huge fan of his. And he always said, you know what, Colleen, closed are the most important number. There's no doubt about it. And closed are what you're really looking for. But if you're going to sit with the seller, they already know what's active in their sub, and you better have it in your CMA. They also know what's pending, and you better have that as well, because they're going to want you to do all of the homework when you're sitting with them. Now, I'm also going to be honest, I hate these stupid MLS calendars. I think clicking on it and then clicking your way back, it's kind of annoying. I really love in this market, an appraiser is going to go 6 months back. I'm going to use that date range, hit 6 months back. Bam, a lot easier than clicking dates, clicking backwards 6 months. I mean, it's just kind of a pain. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I want to start adding in the details. So this happens to be a brick ranch home. So of course, I'm going to be looking for a ranch style home. Generally, we're not comparing a 5,000 square foot colonial to a 1,000 square foot brick ranch, right? We're putting in apples to apples to make that comparison. Now, of course, we've got how many bedrooms? So I'm going to say I'm going to do 3 to 4 because there is not a lot on the market right here. Bathrooms. Now, if you're like me and I have a little OCD, so I'm kind of funny about the bathrooms, I like to actually go to the full bath field and the half bath field, and I like to put in exacts. You could, if you want to just make it simpler, you could do 1 to 2 bathrooms because it is a bath and a half. But again, a lot of people don't know. If you simply scroll down to the bottom and you open up that secondary criteria box, there's actually a field for full baths and half baths. You can use that if you're a little more particular like I am. That's a great thing to do. Does it have a basement? Yes, I want my comps to have a basement then. Does it have a garage? Yes, I want my comps to have a garage then. I generally do not like to use features when it comes to my CMA, especially right now, because features in most cases are optional. And if a lazy agent didn't put it in, I don't want to lose a good comp because they didn't add fireplace or something like that, right? All right, so let's go down all the way to the bottom. This is a question I commonly get asked. Well, Colleen, what is the cutoff range? What does an appraiser use when they're trying to figure out the range of square footage? And the answer from, I think, 18 or 19 appraisers I've always asked is usually, now again, this can change on waterfront, or if you're doing this out in a rural area, it's generally 20%. So in this case, it's definitely 20% where we're doing our example today. So when we looked in BS&A, it clearly told us that the home was 1,361 square feet. So all I'm going to do is, if you're new to this and you're trying to figure out what is that 20% square footage range, I'm going to take that 1361 and I'm going to multiply it by 20%, which comes out to 270. So I'm going to say 1361 plus that 270 is going to be 16. So I'm going to say that my square footage range is 1650 on the top. I'm going to take that, 1650, I'm going to take that 270 and that 1361. I'm going to minus that off the bottom, right? So now I've got about 1,100, it's just a couple shy of 1,100 to 1,650. That's going to be my 20% square footage rule. So now you're probably thinking, lady with the fuzzy hair, now you have 7,000 comps. And you're right, because we didn't put in the most important thing, right? Location, location, location. But how do you do what an appraiser's going to do? How do you use that same type of software to come up with 1 mile comps? So let's do that next. So when we're trying to determine the location, which of course is the most important thing, we're going to use our map field. So I'm going to click into search by map. And a lot of people, they get a little intimidated or a little nervous when they're searching by map. And let me tell you, it is really super simple. First thing is when your map opens, it opens to where your office location is. That's this red X right here. I don't care about the red X. I care about my subject property that I'm going to list tonight. So I'm going to go up to this top bar here, and I'm going to type in an address. Now, keep in mind, you have to use these couple of rules when you're doing this. First and foremost, this uses Google Maps. So you want to leave off the drives, the ways, the places, the boulevards, the courts, the avenues. Leave them off. You want to put in just that route street address. So this happens to be Wessel Drive, but we're going to leave off the drives, the ways, the courts, and we're just going to put in that route street address, 41539 Wessel, comma, the city. We're going to hit that magnifying glass. And here, bam, here is our subject property flag. But I want to do what an appraiser is going to do, right? I want to search within 1 mile of that subject property because that's what an appraiser is going to do in this area. So what I want to do is I want to go up to where it says miles. By the way, you could do 1 mile, 1.25 miles, 1.34 miles, whatever you want it to be. I'm going to say in this area, an appraiser is always going to use that 1 mile radius. What you see now is I've just drawn a circle, and I can see my comps over here. There's an active comp. I can see there's a pending comp. I can also see closing comps. If you see these numbers right here, this 2, that means there were 2 flags that were pretty close together. So if you click on it, it will always give it to you over here, or you could just zoom in and it will break those apart for you. It's hard when those flags are basically right on top of each other, and that's why they do that. But let me show you some good examples I didn't know for a long time that have helped me tremendously when, especially if you're trying to do waterfront or things like that. So we're going to use Marietta again. She's always been so nice every time I've met her. So we're gonna use her. And we're gonna say that Marietta has listed $3 million listings on the waterfront. So she's having a great month. But we're not listing $1 million homes. We're listing this little brick ranch off the water here. So we're going to pretend that this 274 is $1 million listing. I have a 10-year-old at home, so we do a lot of pretending, right? We're going to pretend that we want to take this Lake St. Clair waterfront area out of the equation. We don't want all those fancy $1 million listings that Marietta has. We don't want them screwing up our CMA numbers. So how do we do that? Well, you can actually draw a shape on a shape. So I'm going to go up here to the top and I'm going to click on draw. And I kind of prefer the polygon. It's just easier for me. And all you're really going to do is you're going to click every place that you want to start or stop your line. So I'm going to say that this is all really fancy lakefront homes. Again, we're excited for Marietta and her $1 million listings, but we don't want them screwing up our CMA. So now I know you're probably thinking, well, lady with the fuzzy hair, don't you see it's still there? Well, there's one more step. What you're going to do is you're going to go up to edit, and you're going to change it from includes to excludes, and that is going to remove that lakefront area. It's also very helpful if you are listing a home like over by Rivergate. There's a part of the sub that is older construction, like built in the 1930s. And then there's, of course, those new construction homes. But if I don't want the old construction screwing up my new construction CMA, it's a great way to be able to just divide it. And by the way, you can change your maps. You can even see where the lines start and stop. But this is a really, really easy way to ensure that you're getting the right comps. You can do that for buyers, by the way, if they all love Warren, but they maybe don't want to live at, south of 10 or 12. You could draw that and exclude that area, so that they're not getting a bunch of homes that they don't want in their collab center. So a lot of cool things like that. Here's another tip that I thought was helpful. Let's say you did your 1 mile radius and you didn't get any comps, or you got 2 comps and you're looking for 5 closed comps. And you don't really want to put in 2 or 3 because now you're going to get a million comps. You just kind of want to open up the circle a little to see if you could get 1 or 2 more comps. So what I just did is I went to the shape I drew, I clicked in the shape, and you'll see it highlights it with these little circles. That circle then allows me to just open it up a little further to see, oh yeah, 3 more comps just popped in. Now I have enough comps for my CMA. So don't be afraid to open or close that circle. There's a couple other really good things too that you can do here. Let's say that Marietta is going to be listing a home, and she kind of wants to see the neighborhood, but it's 2 hours away. She kind of wants to know, is it kind of an all brick ranch neighborhood? Is it kind of an eclectic mix of houses? What are we looking at? Well, Marietta can go over here to the right where we all see this little yellow Google man on pretty much everything, right? She can grab that Google man. She can then say, okay, I'm going to put him right in front of that listing, and she can walk down the street. She can see the homes to the left, she can see the homes to the right, but she literally can walk this neighborhood. And if she wants to see the home that she's going to be listing, by the way, and this is kind of cool, I think, you can also see which one was pegged right here. And the reason I use this is, I kid you not, this is the house with the dormer. Kid you not, can't make it up in real estate. I like this example because it shows a lot of funny things that have happened. So to leave this view, you can just click on the arrow. It'll take you right back to your comps. And now I think I have enough comps to go ahead and successfully complete my CMA. Now, here's where a lot of times I get to this step and I do something so like I forgot to take out leases the other day. Remember, you can always bounce back and add more or less criteria. So these tabs always remain open. Lastly, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to run my search. I'm going to say, oh, yep, I've got enough homes. I can see the pending with the pending, closed with the closed. In real life, I would have put a little bit more criteria in here, but for the sake of giving Taylor her part of the time that she needs for her listing, I'm just going to grab a couple of these. Probably at this point, I would probably put in a little more criteria, like 2-car garage, things like that, so that I'm getting the exact numbers that are closest to my home. But in this case, I'm just going to say, you know what? I am going to bring in these couple. Now, I'm going to be honest, I have a little bit of OCD. So when I check these off and it's a hodgepodge mess like this, I hate it. So here's a little trick. One, you can always sort your comparables by simply clicking on the column heading. That's going to give you active with active, closed with closed. You can sort the order that you want them in. But I also hate this. This is a hodgepodge. I only want a couple of these. Why do I see all the ones I don't want? Well, all you have to do is go up and hit checked. Now you're simply working with the ones that you want to bring into your CMA. And I think this would probably be a pretty good one. So what I'm going to do from here is I want the easy button. How do I bring them into my fancy CMA? Well, the answer is I'm going to go up to this actions button. I'm going to hit cloud CMA, and it's going to take all of those properties that I just selected in Paragon, and it's going to load them up right down here at the bottom. Now, all I have to do is name it. So we're going to say this is for Sally, our seller. And I want to enter the property address because it's going to pull from the tax records. It's going to start giving me great information. How many bedrooms, how many bathrooms. Of course, if you want to change this, I know it happens to be a bath and a half. You could do that. If I want to alter the square footage, I can do that. But here's where I now want to add that photo. Remember how I said if you have a photo in BS&A, that's a great way to just give a cover to your CMA so that they know, oh yeah, this is the CMA And I even want to crop out that ugly date, as I mentioned, because I would never want that to be my front photo. Again, a little OCD there. That would make me a little nuts. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in or crop that image in a little bit. And now I want to start my CMA. The CMA is literally just these 4 tabs along the top. And actually, publish is really just save. So it's really just 3 tabs. The first tab, it's just kind of showing you, the agent, the homes that you selected. By the way, you can reorder these. So if you want them in a different order, just drag and drop them into the order you want. If you're looking at this and you're like, oh, geez, I'm not going to include that 350 active. That's way too high. Well, I can deselect it and remove it from my CMA altogether. You can also go into, and this is new, notes and adjustments. I used to use, I hate to date myself, but I am old. I've been in this business now 23 years, hard to believe. But I used to use Post-it notes all the time. And I'd like post it, okay, this one didn't have central air. This one didn't have a garage, right? You do the same thing here. Maybe this is the only home in the neighborhood that has no garage. And all the others did. And maybe that's why you want to explain that it's sold for less or more. So the idea is that you can actually leave notes in here, and there's even an adjustments area. If you take the CMA class, we have a whole cloud CMA class. We'll even show you how to figure out those adjustments, meaning you can actually go into a place in RPR, you can type in basement, and it's parcel specific. Let's say that you have a seller that just redid their whole kitchen with this beautiful cherry wood cupboards and granite countertops, and they spared no expense. Well, that same $25,000 kitchen remodel is going to bring a lot more money in a California home than where maybe I'm standing in Warren. So you can actually put in the parcel, you put in the type of improvement, how much they paid, how old the improvement is, and it actually spits out a number that you can use as a baseline adjustment. So really cool. We teach you that in the Cloud CMA class. So if you've not taken that, strongly recommend you do. But this is, again, where you can plug in all those valuations. You can also do a subject property range. So you can get a price range. You can say maybe I can see right over here to the right, my average sales price right at this moment is $262. So maybe I'm going to tell them that I want to do a price range of $260 to $270. But then you get in the home and you're like, whoa, it needs some updating. Then maybe I do want to go with that 260 number, right? So you can actually put in a suggested price range instead of just a number. You can also do a net sheet. Now, you can save the expense names, but you got to always figure out the math. So here's a little tip. If you are using Transaction Desk, if you are using ZipForm, or even if you're using Dotloop and you have your net sheet in there, save it. Like I told you to save those other documents, because you can pull that in. It figures it out way quicker for you. It does things like calculating for you in most of those programs, and it's a lot easier. So I just pull my net in from Transaction Desk. Way, way easier. Lastly, so we started off, we gave it a name. We now see everything that it's brought over for us. If we didn't do anything else on this page, that would be totally fine. Lastly, what do we want to do here? What do we want to include in our report? So basically it works like this. Everything where it says your CMA report is what you're currently including. If you don't want to include an agent resume, just hit the minus button. It'll pull it right out. If you want to add in a custom page, as I mentioned, that's so important. If I want to add in a custom page, all I need to do is click on the page that I want to add. So let's say I wanted to add my market stats, my Sterling Heights market stats. All I have to do is click on the plus, and it's going to float into my report. So really, really easy. As I mentioned, I include things like unpaid water bills so that they can see that in here. I want my CMA report to be very inclusive. I also include things like, and let's see if I can find it really quickly. I also like to include things like the condition of the property. So I had an out-of-country investor call me to sell. He bought a whole block of properties. And he said, Colleen, I hear things are selling for record prices over there. Want to put this one on the market right away. So I got there, and how do I tell him, well, unfortunately, the renters that were there, they've really destroyed the property. Now I'm making an opinion, right? And Floyd Wickman, he used to say all the time, don't give them your opinion, show them on paper. So I simply went to that house and I took photos that I included in the CMA. So basically, I took photos saying that it didn't have a C of O. Unfortunately, many of the cabinets were ripped off the walls. When I got there, there was water running over the floor, and the floor had to be removed, as you can see. So I just went and took pictures. My pictures did the trick. All I had to do was actually show him the condition of the property, and that made a huge difference. It wasn't my opinion. He could actually see it for himself. So that made a big difference. Things like your BS&A records, your market stats, all of those things, those you want to include in your CMA. Lastly, and by the way, when you go into Cloud CMA, if you have not set up your CMA yet, make sure you've got your theme to match your company colors, that you have the layout that you like, because the last step is really just publish, which is publishing your report. It takes about 30 seconds to publish. And now you have, and I'm just going to jump back to the one I just did on my listing that's supposed to close next week, so you can kind of see it in real life. All you have to do is decide how you want to present it. If I want to present it in a nice little PDF here, so that I can save it to my desktop or maybe even print it out for your client, you can see how nice that looks. And it took just mere seconds. Of course, I went over a lot more detail. On average, it takes me between 7 and 9 minutes to create a CMA now. Obviously, if it's a complicated property, it might take you a little bit longer, but it should be right in that ballpark because your template's already set up. It already knows what you want to bring into your CMA. Here's my company page. It's going to tell you all about the company I work for. By the way, it took me about 9 seconds to create that. I simply copied and pasted right from our company website. You can include what is a CMA. You can remove a lot of these pages if you don't want them as well. Here we have my MLS property ticket from when they bought it. The next thing is here we have our real list record. Here we have our BS&A record, that the taxes, that there were some summer taxes that needed to be paid. Wanted to make sure we covered that. What was happening in there? Now, this was only, I listed this property in June. No, I listed in July. Sorry, listed in July. And we were only down 10%. Now we're down more. So that's why I said these classes are even enlightening for me because I can constantly see these numbers shifting. We were down 10%. Look at our average sales price in that Redford area. So really interesting to watch this market. It's kind of fluctuating all over. So this gives them comparables and breakdown by price per square foot, things like that. You can remove that page. If you have a house that maybe needs a lot of updating, maybe you don't want to show that particular page. You can also include the interior photos, which I really like because if your seller says, well, Colleen, does Joe Schmagegi have a finished basement? I want to be able to show them that in the comps as well. So I'm not going to take you through all of these comps. We'll kind of bounce down to the end. But really, your goal is that you're looking for between 3 and 5 comps generally. And then there's a wrap-up area that will show them how long it took to sell homes once they went pending, how long it took to get an offer, what is it selling for? I love this graph because it tells them it's going to take us, if we're priced right, 9 days on the market to move your home. And by the way, they're selling for 107, 10 years ago, I never would have thought we were seeing these numbers. But we're selling at 107% of our list price. So they're getting over asking, right? That's really what it's telling them. Here's what I suggest we list it for. We did. And guess what? One day we got 10 offers and thankfully we're pending and hopefully, knock on wood, closing next week. So the idea is putting all of these together, having all of your data. There's also some great marketing graphs that are written in there that you can choose to use. Having all of that prepared just makes it that much easier. Okay, so we got into our CMA, and I want to make sure I'm leaving Taylor plenty of time for her portion too. But now we know what we're going to suggest that we're going to list this home for, right? So we've got our data. We got this great presentation. If you take the cloud class too, by the way, should mention this. If you take the cloud class, you can also learn how to use their brand new live interactive version. I love this. I'm just going to show you two features that I think make this the best CMA program out there. One, if you are, let's say Marietta is sitting with the seller, and the seller says, well, Marietta, what about Joe over there on the corner over there? He got more money for his home. Why? Well, Marietta can go in and she can see the comps and it highlights, well, Joe actually had 20% more square footage than you do, or Joe had a garage, or Joe had an extra bathroom. So you can see all of this. What makes this actually work, in my opinion, though, is a lot of times they are asking you about homes. Now, they're not realtors. They don't know why we selected the comps that we did, right? They're going to ask Marietta, well, what about Joe on the corner over there? I don't see him in the comps. And Marietta's going to say, oh, Joe, well, what street does Joe live on? And he says, well, Joe just closed, yesterday. Marietta did her CMA 2 days ago. So she's like, well, you know what? I better see. Maybe Joe is a good comp. Here's what you can do in the new live version. You can actually go to this map. And if the go-to webinar box is covering it, I apologize. There's a little map right up here. When you click on the map and you zoom in, it will allow you to see the MLS data live. So even though you're at someone's house, I can say, oh, Joe over here on Lexington? Okay, let's take a look at Joe's house. Oh, Lexington. Well, we didn't include that one because, as you can see, it did not have an attached garage, or it was a 2-story and I compared only ranches, or whatever it happens to be. If Marietta said, oh, yeah, that is a good comp. It closed yesterday. I did this 2 days ago to be prepared. She can include the comp on the fly. Now, when she goes back to her comp, probably going to mess my own real CMA up, but that's okay. When she goes back to her comp, she can actually see that home that we just added in right there on Lexington. So it allows you to adjust it on the fly, which I love. It does a whole lot more. You can do video resumes and testimonials and all kind of cool stuff, but take the Cloud CMA class. That's my advice. It's a really good class. I do teach it quite often. There's other instructors who are great instructors. They teach it as well. But I am very passionate because I think it's one of those tools you really do have to know how to use. So we've done our CMA. We know what the home should be listed for. How do we prepare the listing paperwork? That's the next piece. So where we're going to go from here is, again, our tools. Really, all of your tools that you're going to use for this are located either right on the listing ticket or under resources, which is your toolbox. So where do we go from here? Well, my probably second favorite program is Transaction Desk. And that's where you're going to pull a tremendous amount of data from the tax records to fill out all your listing contracts that you need. So let's do that next. So we're going to go into Transaction Desk. And we want to start a new transaction. I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version. By the way, there's a whole class on everything we're going to show you today. Transaction Desk, Cloud CMA, photos, listing, and all of that is going to be, it has its own class. So if you want more information on any of these subjects, you can find it there. But here's a couple cheats. I am always looking for the easy button. I like to call them cheats or quick tips, if you will, because I don't have time working full-time for the MLS, selling a few properties a year, being a mom who's, constantly doing every sport. The goal is, how do I do it faster and better, right? And make it more efficient and make sure I'm not making mistakes when I'm rushing. So here's your first tip. When you're starting transaction paperwork, eliminate the keystrokes, okay? Pull as much data from the actual trusted municipality record. That's really what we want to do. So we're going to add a new transaction. We are going to call this, let's do 123 Main Street. Okay, key here is we're going to apply our packet of forms. Now I'm going to use my company listing packet, but you can set up your own packet of forms. We teach you how to do that in the Transaction Desk class. But instead of going in and filling out just a ton of information, and I don't want to pull from the MLS in this case, because what if the person who had it listed before me put it in wrong? I don't want to trust their information. I want to get it right from the tax info. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I want to pull from Realist, but there's a trick. So when Brian built this and we were all excited about releasing it, he said, you know what? All you have to do is now go in and put in the tax ID. And I looked at Brian and I said, Brian, that's really cool. And you're really smart. He can write code. He's a great chief technology officer. But I'm like, do you really think agents memorize tax IDs? No, we don't. We know addresses, right? So here's the tip. You're going to go over to the magnifying glass. Don't need the tax ID. All you need is the county. So I'm going to say that 123 Main Street is in Macomb County. Going to select the county, and very, very important. This tip will only work if you enter 3. It asks for a lot, but it will just screw you up. So just do this. Street number, county, and street name only. Only fill out those 3 because it is so exact when it's grabbing tax records. If you write out drive and in the assessor's office it has DR period, you're not going to get anything. So here's the key. County, yes. Street number, yes. Street, route name, leave out the drives, the ways, the courses, the boulevard, all of that. Just put in our Wessel. So even though it's Wessel Drive, watch this, only 3 pieces of information. Search the tax data, pops right up. If you put in more information, it won't happen. So you're going to check it off. You're going to say, I want to start my transaction with all the information that exists in the tax records. Watch this. Start off our transaction. Watch how much information it's actually going to pull in for you just from doing that one step. It's pulling in the street address, city, county, school district, year built, tax information, tax number, parcel number, lengthy legal description. All of that data is coming with even more. If I jump over to the contacts, it even knows the 2 sellers of record. It's actually pulling them in there and it's labeling them seller. So all of your forms where the seller is supposed to sign, guess what? It's going to have their signature there, the tag if you're using Authentisign for signing. So very cool stuff. Again, a whole class on this, but you want to pull from the tax records. The very last thing I want to cover today is now the great news is I've brought in all of my forms in my packet into Transaction Desk. So when I go to my exclusive right to sell, guess what? All that auto populating is already starting to happen. So when I click on my exclusive right to sell, it's populating those forms. And the more information, like the dates and things, the more information I put into the beginning, the more information is going to auto flow in here. But there is something that most people don't know is here, and I love, and that's the My Real Source data sheet. Because when you're getting ready to go list a property, you don't know yet what the final listing price is going to be, right? They might want to go in a little higher or a little lower. They might be in a rush. You don't really know, right? You also don't know what the room measurements are. Hopefully you're using our new member benefit, Kubacasa, and you're doing that app and you're walking around and getting that floor plan back in less than 24 hours with all of the room measurements on it. So you don't have to do that anymore. And by the way, up to 5,000 square feet you get for absolute free being a My Real Source member. So if you haven't taken that class, take that class too. We'll show you that. But the last piece is what I do here is I fill in as much information as I know in the data sheet, minus the room sizes and generally the list price. Most everything else I kind of know from doing my homework. But here's the key. You're going to fill out everything in red that you know. You're going to go on your listing appointment. Now the seller is signing that document, right? Now I know what my listing price is. I know what those room measurements are. I've been there. We've got the listing. I'm going to come back into Transaction Desk. I'm going to open up I'm going to open up my file and I'm going to go to the data sheet and I'm going to fill in those couple pieces of mystery information that I didn't know before my listing appointment. Once I have it filled out, I am going to hit upload listing. What this does is it takes all this information, and I think it's even easier than adding it into Paragon, by the way. I have a little OCD, so I don't usually like my office admin. They're great, and they would do it for me, and they're super, but I would rather do it myself. So if you fill this data sheet out, which I have to fill out to turn into my admin anyway, if you fill that out, well, all I have to do is hit this upload listing button. Guess what? It takes all the information from the forms, from that data form, and it creates a partial listing for me. So basically, I've pushed all of that data Your office admins, by the way, let's say your office admins do put in your listing. You can fill out that data sheet and your office admin can actually see all the partials for the office. So in my case, her name is Colleen as well. In my case, our Colleen would go in and she would add the pictures and she would go into the partial, check it over, add in anything that, someone missed, and then she can go in and hit save. When she hits save, it is now going to be a live listing in the MLS without her having to rekey a single thing. For me, as the agent, I also have that ability on my listing. So I'm going to go into my listings here, and I'm going to see my partials. I'm going to be able to go into my partial, finish it up, add any additional information. And of course, this is where we're going to add things like our disclosures. If I want to go in and now I want to add my seller's disclosure, I'm going to hit add documents. By the way, way simpler than some of these MLSs I've used previously to add disclosures. I had a hard time opening the documents. It was a hot mess. All I want to do is I want to click on browse. I want to find my seller's disclosure, which I think I have one right. Let's see, right on my desktop. I'm just going to grab one quickly here. I want to go into, why is it irons? Like, why is it? I can't find one at the, okay, so I'm going to find my disclosure. I'm simply going to click on it. I'm going to now pull it in to my listing. I'm then going to put seller's disclosure. I'm going to hit save. And helps if I put the document type. These are new, by the way. I keep forgetting to hear this. I do this all the time. Is it private for only you and your office to see, or is it a public doc? So that's actually what that's asking for. And then all I have to do is save it. My seller's disclosure is now right here, and anyone can view it when they're getting ready to write an offer. All they have to do is click on it. And by the way, if you write an offer, it pulls any seller's disclosures that are in Paragon right into your transaction so that your buyers, if you're on the buy side, can sign those documents along with their offer to purchase at one time. So got a lot of really, really cool functionality there. All right, I went a little over my time. I apologize, Taylor. Did we have any questions, Taylor, that I can address, or anything that we
I
need to
do
cover?
not see any questions. So,
okay. All right,
but you
I'm
did a
going to
great
turn it over
job.
to you if that's okay.
You did a great job. They must have been following along very well then, if there's no questions. Let's hope.
Either that or I put them to sleep, I guess. All right. I have turned that over to you, Taylor, and I will man your questions, and let me know if you need anything.
Okay. Can you see my screen right now?
I can. I love those exclusive arrows.
Okay, good. All right, awesome. Well, great job, Colleen. I'm just going to piggyback off of the partial feature that you were talking about after your listing has been put into the system. But before I do that, I really want to just talk about how this data works. These are all of our data shares. So when you make your listing live, it is going to be live on all of the MLS of Paragon, all of our regional data shares that we vendor, as well as all of the other data shares that we directly share with. So that's going to be there through Collaboration Center, through automatic emails, on the mobile app, syndication, IDX. So you want to make sure that this listing that Colleen had built and saved as a draft partial is ready to go before it goes live, because it's going to go to all of these sources as well as Collaboration Center and everything people have their clients set up on. And you want to make sure it has the photos, the captions, the descriptions, any marketing videos that you've done, and it's perfect before you have it live, because in the back end of the feed, there is a indicator that lets the feeds know that takes our feed that it is a new listing. Now, if you were to go in and add photos and content later, it's going to be seen as a media file update, and that can take up to 24 hours. So it's really important to make sure that this listing that Colleen built right here, and I'm going to go in and fine tune, is saved as a draft first, and then you go in and make it perfect and push it live. So these are all our data shares. Just like to highlight those. We have about 97% of the state right now. There's a couple more that we're looking to data share with. I think 3 more still holding on that we want to data share with. As you can see, some of the gaps in data up here. But overall, we have 97% of the state right in our home system for you to search on seamlessly. And that is also includes some exclusives. So as you can see, we have a few exclusives that are unique to my real source that is in our database too. So if Colleen were to save this as a partial, and let's pretend that Colleen was my admin. She went in and she added all of this content, these fields, this data sheet, the disclosures. She would have actually saved that as a partial, and now me, the agent, can go in and maintain that partial if I wanted to. Or if I did that myself and I went in and saved that, went back with fresh eyes, went back with the photos, it's still going to be there under listings, maintain partials. But something quickly I just wanted to show you is we have a feature called Assume Identity. So if this is enabled for you, whether you have an assistant or we have any office admins that are on today or brokers, you can actually have this turned on for the whole office if you're the office admin, or select agents that the individual can go in and assume their identity. So if I were, or if Colleen was my assistant or office admin, she could actually go in and assume my identity. And it's as simple as typing somebody's name out. I'm going to pretend to go in and assume Colleen's identity to actually access that partial that she saved. So let me go in and do that. So now I'm in as Colleen, but it's still tracking me on the back end. So if I were to touch her listing or change anything, there's going to be a timestamp. It's going to also know whose login was the one that did that and assumed that identity. So now I can go in as Colleen, acting as her, but technically me, and go into her partials and go ahead and maintain this listing by adding the photos, any remaining fields, any extra tours and links that I wanted to go in and add, and then I can save it as a partial from there, or save it and make it live, and that's when it goes out as a new listing update right away. So I have a sample listing with some nice photos that I want to show you guys. And we're just going to pretend that Colleen, this was Colleen's listing that she just showed you, pushing from transaction desk, adding all the tax records, everything, all those disclosures that she uploaded. But now I'm going to go in and do those final touches of adding the photos, the captions, and the descriptions. So I went under the listings icon. I went to my listings and the partials, and now I'm going to open up that that listing ticket. So what's really nice about Paragon's listing entry is you can simply just tab through as you do that. So any remaining fields that need to be added, it is opened. You can close down these little sections if you want to, containers we call them, and you'll see that there's a section or container called compensation tours. And there is a section that has 4 fields for promotional videos. So if you want to do a branded video, 2 different branded videos, whether that's an aerial video, an interactive floor plan, or just a walkthrough tour that you did yourself where you're promoting yourself, promoting your brokerage, you can actually do that and have it in the branded ones. And the branded field right here will go out to your single property website and all those advertising sites and portals that are out there. Now, you always want to make sure you get an unbranded one that's neutral. It doesn't promote you, doesn't promote your brokerage, and put that into the non-branded ones or unbranded ones where it doesn't even say the word branded. That goes out to IDX sites within the MLS and collaboration centers so that somebody can see this see this tour or this video, but you don't have to worry about another agent's face and logos and all that plastered all over what you're sending to your client. So I have a couple examples of when you're finalizing your listing, if you want to do some of these extra promotional videos, there's lots of options for you out there. Starting with something really simple where you just create these walkthrough tours on your own. Colleen actually did this where she had a condo, she listed this condo, and she decided to do a branded and an unbranded one where she's walking through, narrating, and she put that on her YouTube channel and uploaded that right to YouTube and grabbed that link and put it into the tours field. So here's an example of just a homemade one that you could do. This is a branded one.
Hello everyone, Colleen DeLang with Keller Williams Lakeside. Want to take you on a property tour of a new listing at 50839 Marshall Lane in beautiful downtown New Baltimore. Actually, we're just steps away from beautiful Lake St. Clair as well. So let me take you on a tour. Stepping inside here, we have an entrance to the 1.5 car garage. We walk right into the living room. Does have a gas fireplace. And then just off to the left, we have a full first floor bathroom. Lake St. Clair.
She goes through the whole house, just like a tour, a virtual tour, but except she's narrating it and promoting herself at the beginning. And then same thing for the unbranded, except she just lets you know the address and does the same tour. Now, once this is uploaded, she just went to share and took this link right here and was able to put that right into the branded or the unbranded field. Another thing that you can do, which Colleen mentioned, is Cubicasa. So Cubicasa is a product that we just recently launched or late this summer. I think it was around end of July. We brought this product on for our members. You can sign up under resources in Paragon, and by signing up through Paragon, that direct single sign-on through Paragon, you actually get a floor plan, an image floor plan that you can customize. You sign up your login and you download the app, and you can walk through and create these floor plans that you can then upload into your Paragon photos. So just to give you a little teaser of the product so you can see, this is something that you are interested in, sign up under resources, download the app, use that login, and you get a floor plan uploaded into every one of our listings. What's also really nice about this is that the copyrights reside with you and the broker. Some other products do not always do that. They like to hold the image copyrights that are generated for you. So I recommend using Cubicasa for one, because it's included under 5,000 square feet, and you keep the copyrights. So let me just show you a little teaser of the product. I will add the links into the chat so you guys can watch the full video if you would like. So when you have the app on your phone, you simply walk through the home, lower level to upper level, follow the outlines of the wall, the perimeter of the house. You can do porches, you can do pools, you can do patios. It gives you directions in the app. Slow it down, do this, some tips, open doors if it needs more lighting. And then it actually gives you the image. There's real humans creating this behind the scenes once it's submitted. Comes over to you, within a few hours. I believe it's like a 6-hour turnover, 6 to 12-hour turnover, depending on exactly what you choose. So 6 hours is what the video is promoting at least. You can choose the file type that you would like. And what I really love about it is that you can go in and label it how you want it labeled, choose your colors, all of that. And you can simply upload this into your photo feature in Paragon. You also can get the PDF document that you can save and store as well. And it does the square footage for you as well. It has technology that's built into the app to give you a really very accurate floor plan and square footage, and for you to, you know, kind of compare and make sure that that works for the square footage of the home. And there's also a few other things too. So while we're talking about these virtual floor plan, or while we're talking about virtual tours and links, they recently released a 3D floor plan that you can purchase. Now, this is not something that's included in your My Real Source membership, but we were really excited to see that, because as more products are coming available for agents to buy that do not hold copyrights, Cuba Casa agreement does, as well as gives you guys a 25% off discount on any products that are more than just that image floor plan that you buy because you're a My Real Source member. So if you want to get a video that's branded and unbranded to go ahead and put into your listing data fields right here, you can actually do that with you know, 3D tours and other products that they offer too. So let me just show you how cool this is quickly. So when they click on that link that will be put out on single property websites and IDX sites, advertising sites, collaboration center, they can open this link and it's going to give them that tour to walk through. So this is something extra through Cuba Casa that you can do at a 25% off discount to give you those extra marketing features for your property. So I went over the homemade ones that Colleen did just with her iPhone, put it on YouTube of a branded, unbranded. You also get the a Cuba Casa floor plan image that you can upload, but there's a 3D tour you can do. Another thing that's out there that you can do are aerial videos that are hosted. You can copy that URL. Always ask for a branded and an unbranded from your photographer, and you can put those on your listings. So this one looks like, I believe, like a branded because it had the name and the brokerage name. So once you add your promotional video tours, you can just simply go ahead and save that as a partial if you want, come back later, or you can start to really go through these sections of the listing. It's really great, you know, straightforward right here. There's no digging or looking for anything to finish your listing. You just simply follow off here, you know, off to the left over here. These are all the data fields and containers that you can tab through. I'm going to go in and add and edit some photos now. So just to tie into what I just showed you, I added a floor plan down here. So creating that floor plan, I can go in and just simply upload it to the rest of my listing photos. I recommend putting it at the beginning of the listing. So once you upload all of your photos, including your floor plan, you would have your primary photo and then have your floor plan that follows that. Rearrange the photos by simply just dragging and dropping. In my photo class, I talk about kind of that experience looking at a listing. So, I mean, just imagine if every listing had the flow of photos as your experience coming into the home, a floor plan, and maybe a tour of some sort, a 3D tour or a tour of similar to what Colleen did. that continuity of that property and promoting that property would be so easy, so as a consumer, so seamless. It helps you imagine living in your life in this home. So go ahead and simply drag and drop in that order. The way that I did this one, which I'll show you, is basically coming home from work, parking in the garage, and coming in through the mudroom. You could do that, or you could do the entrance, get to the meat and potatoes of the home. So that's going to be, you know, the heart of the home, the kitchen, the living room, whatever one is closest to the entrance that you came into. Some nice close-up shots mixed in that tie in with that room. Then you're going to go into your order is going to be, you know, once you've completed that main level or all those main rooms. Move into the bedroom. Start with the master, the bathroom that goes with the master bedroom, or primary bedroom, I should say, the second, third, fourth, so on. Work your way down to the basement, and then the backyard, the community photos, save that for the end. Now, if there is something really unique about the property that's outside that you want to get their attention right off the bat, go ahead and add one of those at the beginning, but just remember you have about 10 photos to get their attention, to know that this is, you know, they're going to keep looking at this photo. They're going to really dive into the data fields and the remarks and all of that. So you want to have quality over quantity at the beginning, but it does have to make sense. So if there's a really nice pool and backyard that you don't want to save till 30 photos, maybe put one of them at the beginning and then close with the remaining couple photos of that backyard and that pool. Another example would be a lot of land or on a lake, or a cute little house downtown that is walkable, a neighborhood that has a pool or parks, trails. All of that is stuff that you do want to include in your listing photos, and just kind of close with that, unless there's something that you want to maybe add one little teaser at the beginning. So once you've set your order of your photos, there's a little red pen right here. So let me just show you how you upload. It's really easy. First, skip that step. Upload multiple photos. Up. All right, wanted me to save. So when I upload multiple photos, I can actually upload 99 at a time if I wanted to. And with that, I can go in and you'll see them all loading. It's going to load in the order of the file name. So the order that you took it, alphabetical order, numerical order, and then that's when you drag and drop. We have very high resolution photos, which is really nice, especially on these devices when we're zooming in and we don't want any pixelation. We want the photos to fill the frame, fill the gallery views, no thick borders around these photos, sharper, crisper photos. So we actually have a resolution of 3072 by 2304, which is really high, but it's not so high that it's going to take forever to load on the browsers. So your photos are going to be really crisp without any of that lag. So once you've uploaded those photos, you can hit this little red pen. This allows you to crop or change the orientation. So this orientation button is nice because if you're taking photos on your smartphone, what your smartphone will do is that when you're looking at it, it'll actually, you know, flip it so that you're seeing it right side up. But if you were to send those photos to your computer to then add to your listing, the photo could potentially be upside down, which you can, you know, do on your computer, change the orientation. But let's say you missed one, or you just don't want to do that on your computer, you just want to do it once it's been uploaded, you can easily do that. Change that orientation as well as crop. Now, when you have all of that set, your arrangement of the photos, all the photos, the proper orientation, crops, everything you need to do, you can go in and you can add your captions and descriptions, or labels and descriptions. So the label is just to kind of tell them what they're looking at first and foremost, but the description is really that extra little oomph that you can add to your listing. And this is not just pointing out the obvious. This is selling that home, and you have 255 characters to do that. You might want to, of course, point out something like this is the primary bedroom, but what's nice about this primary bedroom is X, Y, and Z. So you can go in and do that. So I have my primary photo here where it has a U-shaped driveway, and that U-shaped driveway is a big selling feature. Nice for entertaining. You have that circular driveway. And just mentioning that this is a stunning 2-story home in the name of the community that it's in. So I went in and I added captions to every single one of these photos. Say 95% of them have a caption to it, because depending on the, how much you can really say if you have multiple photos of the same room. I like to do at least 2 photos of the main rooms from different angles, because it allows people to see that missing information that one angle of a kitchen is not going to cover. I also like to do some close-up photos to just give it that extra feel. It also gives, highlights some of the nice features of the home because you are marketing this property. So let me go in and show you some samples. If you're looking to learn more about taking photos, some of these photo features, photo management, equipment, techniques, I do have a whole photo program. We have one in the fall and in the spring. So there is 3 classes. So I don't want to go into too much about the photos because you can take one of my photography classes or 3 of my photography classes if you like, where we have an intro and advanced. And then we actually, if you've taken the first 2, you can come to a photo field trip where you get to apply everything that we learned and take photos and get direct feedback from me, as well as a partner that also took the program. So now let's open up this listing. You can see how it's just a really big, not a lot of black frame around the photo. Just really fills in that gallery view, which is nice. The captions and descriptions display right here. They also get sent out to any vendor that takes captions and descriptions and displays them. So that's IDX, that's advertising sites, that's Collaboration Center, and that's our single property website. So it's definitely worth it to take the time because it's going in more places than just the MLS. So here's an example of some things that you could do with the floor plan, similar to what the floor plan would look like, but the basic floor plan is included with my real source. Make sure to get those done, add it to the beginning of your listing. You can edit the room names, add your logo, change color schemes. And then here I have the experience of coming home from a long day at work, and instead of the foyer, I decided to do the mudroom because frankly, I'm a little envious of this house and wish I had a big mudroom like this. So I went in and I wrote the description, just kind of highlighting how beneficial a mudroom is, how that they're useful. There's custom built-in bench and hangers for backpacks, purses, briefcases, and more. A tiny little office space for your receipts and allowing your kitchen to be free of clutter. So those are kind of those examples where I'm not just pointing out that this is a mudroom with a desk and hangers and benches. I'm pointing out that experience of living in this home, how you would maybe talk if you were actually walking through this home with somebody. A couple different angles. Now I have one angle of the kitchen, highlighting some of these features, then another angle, just because there's some stuff that you might have missed, the backsplash, the double ovens. Now here's a close-up shot. This is something that we cover in the photo program where I talk about shallow depth of field, ways that you can do this in your smartphone, but also professional level cameras that are pretty affordable that you can invest in and learn how to use in my program, as well as some tips and techniques that photographers use out in the field. So that I'm all about, hiring a professional photographer for your listings and investing in these extra marketing videos and things like that. But I think it's very important for the agents to also be able to take their own photos as well as develop that eye so that when they are working with a professional photographer, they're doing what you also have a trained eye to do as well. So let me just double check, make sure I'm not missing any questions. Doesn't look like it. Okay. So when Colleen was going over all of the adding the associated docs, that's right where she was. So you just simply tab through. Here's the fields and the containers. Here's where I add and edit the photos. I simply save it from here, anything that I've done. I can view the report. I can go in and I can look at it as a gallery experience right from here. Here's where you add and edit your associated docs or anything extra that you want to add about the property. And then this is where you go in and you can add and schedule open houses and tours. So what's really nice about this section, back in early 2020, when all of us were in lockdown and we still had listings and we still had to get these properties out there and promote these properties and do the best that we could while in lockdown. Or you just maybe had, after the lockdown was lifted, you just didn't want to have, your client didn't want a bunch of people coming in. So what we had Paragon do is enable a live stream open house feature and tour. So you can actually go in and schedule a live stream open house and put that URL in there so that people can have that on their calendar and click on that link and watch this open house that you're hosting live if you want to. If not, it's just a regular open house with the date, the time. You can go ahead and schedule that, add any comments. The tour is very similar too. So you can go in there. So where do you find these open houses and tours? That's going to be under search. And then you'll see tours and open houses right here. Now, once you're listing, let me open back up my listing. All my fields are ready. All the photos are ready. The docs are ready. I have my open house scheduled. Now I'm ready to make it go live. But you know what? It's 2 in the morning. I'm not quite ready. I need some fresh eyes. I'm actually just going to save it as a partial, come back at 9 in the morning, and then open it back up and hit save listing, and it's going to go live. Or if you want to do it at 2 in the morning, that's up to you. That's your prerogative. Go ahead and do that too. I just know that I get tired eyes staring at a screen, so I love the feature of being able to save it and come back and look at it with fresh eyes. So once I am happy with my listing, the photos, everything, I can now go in and I can hit save listing. And then that's where it goes to all of those data shares live in the MLS, all of our vendor partners and regional MLSs that we have on our system, IDX, syndication sites, as well as the single property website. So when you save your listing, My Real Source, we created a single property website for all of our members to receive when they put a listing in. So once your listing is live, you'll get an email that your single property website is ready to go. And the single property website is something that we designed that look and feel, make sure that it has the links to all the tours and all of the promotional videos, high resolution photos, captions, descriptions, all the things. So where you can see this single property website that's of your own will come through in an email. But where do I find this? Where do I find this single property website? So for example, I'm just going to search one property here to show you, just because it's such a beautiful home and it's nice to look at. So let's say that this was the listing that I just put in. I got an email on it that I can now share my single property website with my client all over social media, send it out to my office, all the things. What I can do is I can simply go right from the email, or if I don't feel like digging in my email and I'm already in Paragon, I can hit this little house with a check. Or if you stumble across a listing that you want to share to a client, you can hit this little icon. Will also be available for you to click on the little quick action link too. So I'm going to open up the single property website. So now when I open up the single property website, here you can see all of the photos, very high resolution. Good job, Maria, for getting beautiful photos done, as well as having high resolution photos uploaded. Now, if she would have taken that next step and added captions and descriptions, that would have shown up on the each one of the photos. We added a accessibility menu for anything that could cause anybody who has any kind of visual impairment. That will increase contrast, larger text, more spacing, just to be more ADA compliant, so that anybody who does have any kind of visual impairment, they will be able to look and see and read this, as well as be formatted for any kind of screen reading software that's out there. So this was something that we recently added this summer, which I'm very happy about. So just know that your property websites are ADA compliant. So the remarks display here, it's very icon based, which is nice. All of the fields that a consumer would need to know. But the biggest thing about this is that it's automatically generated for you when you get a new listing in, but it's also totally branded to you as well. So you don't have any other agents buying zip codes or their branding or their properties on your website. So this is what you want to share to your to your social media platforms and to your clients. And it also displays your other listings. So if you have any pendings or solds within the last 3 months, any active listings, that's what's going to be there. So all of it is branded to you, nobody else. And it also has the lead capture feature where they can contact you. It'll go right to your email. What they're inquiring about, they can request a showing from here, and you can also share it directly to your Facebook page. Now, one thing that I recommend when you are sharing to your Facebook page is to toggle to your business page first. So you want to have a business page, choose your business page, and then reshare it to your personal page so that the original source that the listing came from is your business page. And this just follows the terms of Facebook that if you're doing anything for commercial gain, you have to do it on a business page. But that doesn't mean you can't reshare it to your personal page so that you're getting it out there to maybe not everybody likes your business page. So you can go on and you can make sure that they get that traffic. But a big thing too is your business page tracks your analytics on your page. Your personal page doesn't do anything like that. So by you sharing it to your personal page only, you're not following Facebook's terms, but you're also not getting that feedback on the activity and the clicks and reach that you would be getting if you shared this to your business page. You're also able to boost your posts on a business page too, which allows you to target that area and pay a little, few bucks here and there to get more exposure outside of your friends group that people might be interested based on how their behavior on this home. So really nice. I'm going to post it just on my wall real quick so that you can see how it displays. So let me go to my Facebook page. Oh, there it is, right there. So a big thing that we really liked about the single property website and we really stressed was to make sure that the primary photo was large, not some little thumbnail that displayed. It was large, it was visible for everybody to see, caught the attention, and then it just has the address and a little bit of the remarks there. So now when they click on that, it's going to show them the single property website, which I'll just go to it right there. So just to recap, Colleen went into, pulling from the tax records, pushing your data sheet to a partial, adding associated docs. Once all of that is complete, now you go in and you can finalize that promotion of your property. So that's going to be where you go in and you add your photos, your tours, your schedule your open houses, and then once it's live, share that single property website for your clients and any potential leads that you can capture from there. Let me go in and make sure that I answer any questions that may have come up. If you do have any further questions, now's the time to ask me. There are some communications going out regarding my photo program. So if you want to take one of those, I'm going to put that communication will be going out, but I also put those links in quickly before I close off. And then the links to the Cuba Casa so that you guys can watch that and make sure that you're using that product and getting the database full of floor plans, which is what we need here. So any other questions? Now's the time to ask. If not, then I will be signing off in just a moment. But thank you so much for joining, and I hope you were able to take a little bit away here and get your listing started from A to Z. All right, thank you guys.